Showalter grimaced as he watched Elan's Uglith masker envelop and attach itself to her, extruding microscopic hooks and tentacles that inserted themselves into pores, sweat ducts, wrinkles, and folds. "All finished," Elan announced stoically, and Showalter turned again to find her clothed not only in the Yuzhong Vong's second skin, but also in the robe he had originally handed her. She looked more human than ever. Vergere's disguise amounted to no more than a loose-fitting garment that concealed her feathered torso and reverse-articulated legs. It was hoped that with so many folks displaced from the outer rim, immigration and customs officials were getting used to seeing new species every day. Showalter handed Elan undergarments, a simple dress, a jacket, and shoes. "Here's your outfit." "Who am I supposed to be?" "My wife. We're refugees displaced from a planet called Cernpadal, traveling with our servant." "That would be me," Vergere said. "As ever." "We'll be met by backup on the ship." As the packed-to-the-bulkheads tender pulled into docking position alongside the once magnificent luxury liner, Han suddenly realized what C-3PO had been trying to tell him back on Ord Mantell. "Of all ships," Han said to himself as the vessel's faded and battle-scarred legend came into view, "the Queen of Empire." In her heyday, the Queen had rivaled the older Quamar Messenger and the Mon Calamari starliner Quarry Princess, but frequently the target of pirates, a magnet for meteors, and once stranded in hyperspace for 5 days, the Queen had fallen on hard times. It wasn't until he was aboard that he grasped just how far the Queen had fallen. While he and a handful of others actually held tickets, the ship was overwhelmed with keel runners, casualties of war, and refugees previously stranded on Ord Mantell and the Wheel, and now on their way to various colony and core worlds, thanks in large part to Leia's efforts. Han hadn't eaten anything since bar snacks on Ord Mantell, and not surprisingly, he was ravenous. But by the time he arrived at the cafeteria, it had been set upon by near-starving passengers, and only limited quantities of food remained. There wasn't a utensil to be found. It had come down to using claws, pincers, or whatever foraging appendages nature had bestowed. Han was assessing whether any of the grime on his hands might be toxic when he remembered the survival tool Anakin had given him, the one Chewie had made, which, remarkably, after all he'd been through on the Jubilee Wheel, was still clipped to his belt. And sure enough, the tool contained a fork attachment. Closing in on the warming trays, he saw that only one piece of Nerf steak remained, an overdone gristly piece at that, but he wasn't about to pass it up. As he reached forward and speared it, however, a talon-like nail attached to a somewhat velvety 5-fingered hand lanced the steak at the same instant. Han whirled and found himself face-to-face with the male Rin, in whose company he had escaped the Wheel. The prehensile-tailed alien was sporting the same vibrantly colored culottes vest and jaunty beret. "Ha!" the Rin yapped in amused surprise. "I told you I'd see you around." Han grimaced. "Around 5 years from now would have been more to my liking." "Ah, but you can't fight fate, my friend." "I can try," Han snapped. "What are you doing here, anyway?" "Why, the same as you, traveling forward." He cut his large eyes to the thin slab of meat. "So, who claims the prize?" "I guess we share it," Han said in a rankled tone, "providing you eat the half you stuck your fingernail into." Han transferred the steak to an inexpertly washed plate, and the two of them found opposing seats at a nearby table, among a mixed group of Celestans and Bims. "Droma," the Rin said, extending a hand as he was sitting down. "Roki Lamu," Han told him, reluctantly shaking hands. "I have to say, Roki, you look a lot better than when I saw you last." Han scratched at the rectangle of synth flesh Leia had applied to his forehead. "A marvel of Bacta. Wish I could say the same for you," Droma completed. Han slapped the tabletop and leaned forward angrily. "You and I need to come to an arrangement. I don't know the trick to how you do it, but from now on, you're going to keep my thoughts to yourself. Understand?" "Quite a challenge," Droma mused. "That's your problem." Han stared at him for a moment. "Just how do you do it?" Why, haven't you heard that all Rin are mind readers and fortune tellers? Droma asked facetiously. Yeah, and I'm a Jedi Knight. Droma laughed. Oh, no, that would be a stretch. Where are the Rin from? Han asked while Droma was licking his fingers clean. Originally, I mean. Droma smoothed the ends of his white mustache. A world in the core, but even we Rin don't know which one. How did you end up on the Jubilee Wheel? I was among a caravan of Rin ships that had left the corporate sector for the lesser Pluriate cluster, when the Yuzhong pushed into the Ortega system and destroyed Ithor. You're a professional pilot? A fair one, Droma said, as well as a scout and all-around spacer. So, what happened after Ithor? Our ships were scattered, as were our families. I've been searching for my clanmates ever since, including a sister and several cousins. Tough, Han said. Droma nodded. But what about you, Roki? You handle a ship as masterfully as a starfighter pilot or a successful smuggler. What brings you out here? Han took a moment to collect his thoughts. I'm more a mechanic than I am a pilot. Taking time off from normal life to figure some things out.